Hi, Gentry. Good morning.
Good morning, Kathie. Our next guest is a woman who has really done it all. She's a 4-time Emmy winner, a Broadcast Hall of Famer. She's got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She was your morning cup of coffee for 15 years with Regis. And then how about that happy hour with Hoda, an actress, a grandma, a force of nature, Kathie Lee Gifford. What's going on, Kathie?
And oh, so much more if we only had time.
You're a legendary, girl. You do your thing.
Well, there's famous and there's infamous. So depending on what decade you were talking about, I've been both. So let's keep it in perspective, you know.
You're coming on to talk about some music that you've been working on. You have a brand new song called I Knew It Would Be You. It's a beautiful song that captures that love story between Ronnie and Nancy Reagan. You have a beautiful voice. I've heard you sing before.
Oh, thank you.
And these songs you write really are beautiful.
Well, thank you. I've been writing songs long before I sat on a stool next to Regis or Hoda or anybody else. So my dad was a musician. My mom was a singer. Music was always in our house. My daddy was a jazz saxophonist. So it was a lively home. My sister and I started singing professionally very young. I was 10 when she was 8. And my daddy always said, when you get paid to do something, that makes you a professional. So do it well. He gave us $10 each to sing at our grandmother's birthday party. So I've always said that's when I started my singing career. And I went on to do Name That Tune. That's the show that changed my life. I was the La La lady on that back in 1977. And that's when my world just burst open. And I started opening for people like Bob Hope and Bill Cosby and Rich Little and all the big, great comedians, even George Carlin at the time. And that's when I met the Reagans, actually. The song is from the new movie soundtrack. But I was honored to meet them. I was opening for Bob Hope in Washington, D.C. at something. They were at the performance, and I've had time before the show or after. I don't remember that. I just know I have a picture of me and Bob Hope and Ronald and Nancy Reagan that I cherish because it was the only time I got to meet the president. But the thing that I remember so well about it was their incredible love for one another. It's legendary because it was real. It was so palpable. That's the word that always comes to me. You could sense it. You could see it. You know, the way they looked at each other, the way they shared a laugh, the way they included each other in the conversation, the respect that they had, I just was really moved. I said, gee, I hope somebody loves me like that someday.
You can stream the song. It's called I Knew It Would Be You. And of course, our guest, Kathie Lee Gifford, wrote the song. I want to learn more about this connection of music. I know you said your dad a musician, your mom a singer. But what about that first record that you ever owned? Do you remember the first record that really touched you where music hit you in the soul? Well,
the first concert I ever went to was Bread, but that was long after music had become a big, big part of it. You know, we didn't have access to all concerts back then, you know. But the first album that literally just destroyed me was the first Barbra Streisand album. And that changed my life, too. I just would stand on the toilet and look into the mirror and would hold my hairbrush and try to hit those notes. And you know, and I rarely was successful, but I learned how to sing by studying other singers and by just doing it all the time and getting better each time. You know, I've done, I think, 16 records over my career. Some of them are collaborations and Grammy nominated one time for a Disney one that I did about Winnie the Pooh. That was fun. I just mixed it up. You know, I loved to mix it up. I've had obviously my greatest success in television, but I love doing so many different things. And now I have my own schedule, Gentry. And now I can decide to do a movie or not do a movie, or decide to, you know, start a brand new record or work with this artist or write another book. And it keeps it really alive for me. And I'm never a dull moment, you know. And do I always think everything's going to be successful? No. It took me 13 years to write my Broadway musical. It closed in 3 weeks. We had a terrible, remember Hurricane Sandy?
I do.
Closed down Broadway our show had just opened and we were doomed. The the critics were not very kind, but I knew they wouldn't be.
If it was easy, Kathie, everybody would do it. I mean, that's a part of success is you got to put in the work. This song,
you got to put in the work. You know who told me that? Oh, you tell me about the song. What'd you think?
Well, I love the song. It's a beautiful love song, and all I can think about when I think of love and I think of you, and the song really talks about when you see the one. You know when you find the one.
Yeah.
And Frank he was the one for you. Do you remember the moment that you knew he was the one?
Oh, yeah, I do. But the funnier one is, that's a long story. The funnier one is when I first met him. I was at 4:00 in the morning. I was doing Good Morning America. I was doing an Alpo commercial with a filthy, stinky dog. And I was walking down the hall, 4 in the morning. I look over.
It sounds so romantic right now. This is very romantic.
The greatest set of buns I'd ever seen. I was leaning over a sink putting in contact lenses, and I said, "Have I got an operation for you?" Because I just had something called radial keratotomy, which was before LASIK, and I had 20/20 vision from it. And you know what his response was coming from the sink? "Yeah, with a fool on either end." And I went, "Whoa!" And he has such a distinctive voice. But we went on to be dear friends for 4 years before he was married at the time. He's 23 years older than I was to the day. And he was in love with me. He said, soon, or his marriage was breaking up, but he never told me because he was, he just said, "She'll never love me. I'm too old for her. And I'm already a grandfather. And she's, just starting out her, he just found all kinds of reasons why I would never, but he became my best friend. And when I was dating somebody he did not like at all. And every time I was up back and forth with that guy. And Frank said, you're going to hang out with me until you're over that jerk. And I said, "Well, he says, "You're not going to marry him, are you?" And I said, "Well, I might." He said, "No, you're not. You're going to hang out with me until you're over him." And we never went anywhere else to any event without each other. He was protecting me. And one night we were at a party, U.S. Open out in the Hamptons, actually. And we were playing a game there that, remember the music box? It was precursor to what's it called? Karaoke. And you just, karaoke, I don't do it. Karaoke, I eat. No, I don't know what karaoke is. Karaoke, I obviously don't do it. But we were singing, you sing to a track of a song that you love. And then you get a recording of it. I still have the recording of this in my safe at home in Connecticut. And it was, "You don't bring me flowers, you don't sing me love songs." And then he was doing it. And I've never met anybody in my life, Gentry, that could sing in tune, but not in rhythm. So he goes, "You hardly talk to me anymore, and you come to the door at the end of the day."
So probably a tough dance partner then, I guess, if he couldn't keep it on rhythm.
He could dance fine.
He could dance?
Fine.
Well, that's good.
He could not sing. And we sang it like 5 times. We had a little wine. And he was having something a little stronger, I'm sure. And it got funnier and funnier and funnier until I fell off the sofa laughing. And he leans down to pick me up. And I'm looking up at him and I'm going, I never want to live one more day of my life without him in it. That was the moment I knew.
What a great love story, not only between you and Frank, but this song that you wrote, I knew it would be you, written about the great love story of Ronnie and Nancy. When we talk about presidents, I can't help but think about presidents who have left their mark and ones that sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse.
Right.
President 45 and 47, President Trump, I heard a story that he once saved your life. And I know you have deep respect and love for our president. So how did President Trump save your life?
Well, years ago, and it's 32 years ago, because I remember because Kathie Lee just turned 32, and she was 6 weeks old, and I was supposed to be hosting the Miss America pageant with Regis, and Frank was about to do another Monday Night Football game, as he'd done for 28 years, and he gets a call from the FBI basically saying there's this sick, psychotic rapist murderer. He attempted to murder his aunt, who is on his way up to Connecticut because he's going to get Kathie next. They went to his place, his lair. It was like Silence of the Lambs. There was not an inch that wasn't covered with my covers, with my, anything that was ever written or picture ever taken was sick. And they said, he's for real. This guy's for real. But we want you to stay out of it, Frank. We wanted We want you to continue your schedule. Don't even tell Kathie. Let her go to Miss America. We'll protect her. You go to the football game, and we'll be in contact with you. But we don't want to let this guy know that we're on his trail. And Frank said, well, then I'm going to make one call. And he said, okay. So Frank calls. He calls Donald, because he'd known Donald since Donald was 14. He's good friends with his father, Fred, and they used to play golf a lot together. And Frank had good friends, and he told Donald about it, and Donald said, don't you worry, Frank, I'll take care of your girls. I get a call from Donald about 10 minutes later. Kathie, congratulations on the new baby. And I said, thank you so much. He goes, I'm going to send my helicopter for you to get you to Atlantic City. I said, I don't need, why? You always send me a beautiful limousine. I like that limousine. Let me take that. He goes, no, I insist. I'm sending it'll meet you. He gives me the details. And he said, I'm going to make sure my guys take care of you the whole week you're in town. And I said, Donald, I just had a baby. Women do it all the time. It's no big deal. And he goes, nope, I insist. And you're hard to fight with Donald. I've only won one fight with him, and that was he wanted to be in The Apprentice. And I said, no, I just had my daughter. No. And I told him no about 10 times. He finally gave up on me. But anyway, I considered him a good friend even then. And so he sent the helicopter. The group of guys around me as the week went on got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I said, what is going on here? But I was busy with the baby. I was busy getting ready for the pageant. Well, I did not know until the morning of the pageant. Went downstairs at the Trump International, whatever the hotel was, Trump Plaza, I don't remember. But I go downstairs, I get the Daily News, and there on the cover says Kathie Lee death threat. And I'm going, oh, I think I better buy this and read it, And so I took it up to the room and told the story basically of this guy. And I obviously found out then about everything. And they said, Mrs. Gifford, if you don't want to do the pageant, we understand. But he could be out there. He could be in the convention hall. He could be anywhere. And I said, absolutely not. I said, hell no, I'm not leaving this show. I don't run from things. I know you guys are going to protect me. I know you will. So got through it, went home, went to Cody to a movie in Greenwich because I hadn't seen him all week. And FBI comes over to me, whispers in my ear, Mrs. Gifford, we got the son of a bitch. It was absolutely. I mean, he's your friend, you got a friend for life. I wouldn't want to be his enemy. I'll tell you that.
Thank goodness. I know you've done a great job, Kathie, over the years, just staying away from politics. I know you're all about love and all about your faith, and I really respect that about you. But I know over the years you were working under some of the biggest networks. Did you ever feel any pressure to take a certain stance or on social issues or political issues, maybe for the sake of ratings? Maybe it was the network's bottom line, but you had to do it even if it was against what you believed. Did anyone try to challenge you?
I would never do something against what I believe or think. Never, ever. The stuff I've turned down because that was beyond belief lucrative, I said, no, I will not do that. I would not take the Lord's name in vain in a Sondheim musical on Broadway. And he changed the word for me. He changed it from taking the Lord's name in vain, GD, to the F word. And I don't mean fart. I said, I don't mind saying that. That's a man-made word. So I ended up getting the best reviews of my life for doing that his show. So, you know what he said to me that day? He said, Kathie, you've done the work. You've done the work. And I'll never forget that when somebody like Sondheim tells you that. It's amazing. But in answer to your question about the networks, I always knew who I was working for. And it wasn't some guy in an ivory tower. I wake up every morning and God is in my presence. And the Lord's work is what I try to do. And so they never told me once I couldn't say or do anything. Never once.
And Kathie,
so I saw it as my ministry. I really did. When I had a chance to share the gospel, or share, just a scripture that made sense in relation to what we were all talking about, without being preachy. I don't like to be preached at. Nobody does. But I would sneak it in. Yeah, I would.
Good for you. I woke up every morning with you, as did America. You and Regis shared 15 years side by side, and the chemistry you two had still unmatched on television. What was it about?
Thank you.
What was it about Regis as a man, a friend, a partner on television that made that bond work so well?
Well, you're a terrific interviewer, and I'd like to have an hour with you just on him alone. He was fearless, in a word. Really tremendous respect for each other because we both came from an entertainment background, And we weren't trying to be journalists. We wanted to entertain people. But the secret to the long-term success was fun. We had fun from the first moment I ran on that stage in my sneakers down from Good Morning America. And it never stopped for 15 years. We never had a dark word between us and never had an argument. Never. I never knew what he was going to say. He never knew what I was going to say. We never had producers. We, we didn't have stuff, to hold up. He held up the, what did he hold up? He held up the newspapers all the time. I held up my colonoscopy thing one time because I couldn't get him and my father to have the courage to go in and get one. And I remember saying, if I go in, and I think I was like 40 or something, I don't need one yet, but I'll go in and tell you guys that you're wimps. So I did. And I brought the daggone scope in the next day and said, see, it's only this. It's not a big deal. Neither one of them ever did it. So they lied to me.
You guys had a lot of fun, man.
But it made for great television.
If you could speak to the younger public figures out there, especially the women who sometimes fear for speaking out on some moral truths, political issues, social issues, what would you tell them about that risk, but having the courage and the integrity to do the right thing? Because it's a slippery slope, it seems, these days. It's
very, very difficult. That anytime I got off that path, that narrow path the Word of God talks about, I regretted it. It did not turn out. Anytime I made a choice other than the one that I knew was God's choice for me, I regretted it. And I started listening to the voice of God and just obeying it, no matter what it was, what I should give to a charity, what movie I should do. Should I say yes to this, Lord? Should I go to Israel for this? Whatever. I just give it all in prayer and then walk with the Lord. Walk behind him so you follow him, but hold on to his hand because he's beside you. And then walk in his footsteps so that you treat people the way he treated people. Nobody in the history of the world has ever loved so radically creation and all he created. That's what I've tried to tell people my whole career, Gentry, is how God loves you. And years ago, Billy Graham said to me, Kathie, don't get involved with politics. I know you have strong political feelings. Yeah, I'm an intelligent woman. Intelligent people feel strongly about what they believe, He said, but don't. It's the only thing I regret. Very few times I got off my message. Your message, he told me this in my early 20s, you're going to have a huge entertainment career.
Kathie, I'm sorry, but we're out of time. I just wanted to say congratulations on an outstanding career that's already left a huge mark on television, music, your storytelling, the new song, I Knew It Would Be You. It's on the Reagan soundtrack.
Thank you.
Stream it everywhere. God bless you, Kathie Lee, and thank you so much for coming on our show. We love you, and keep up the great work.
God bless you, Gentry. You're a doll. I want to talk to you again someday.
Let's do it. Love you, babe.
Okay.
Peace out.
Love you too. Bye-bye. Peace out.